Massachusetts at the research and development part of New Balance shoes. How are you? Here we're going to get really inside the shoe, get into the science.
So how do you build a running shoe that cushions and stabilizes your foot? When you run, your feet, ankles, knees, hips and torso must absorb an enormous shock with every stride. New Balance has designed running shoes that can handle all of that, and it started with founder William Riley, who created a unique approach to the insole.
What inspired him, Sean?
Well, why don't we bring in our visual aid and
Visual aid? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he took inspiration from the chicken.
It's a shoe factory and a chicken farm. Yeah. Who knew?
Chickens have incredible stability despite the amount of their mass that's above their foot. And basically he took inspiration from the fact that that four-pronged foot, similar to a triangular pyramidal shape, provided a great deal of stability to the chicken.
You know, we are theoretically less stable than chicken.
That's right.
You know, this chicken has an agent.
Most runners push off from their forefeet and land on their heels. That's why the soles of running shoes are designed with extra cushioning in these areas. However, cushioning must be balanced with another important function: stability.
If you put too much cushioning in, he won't be able to keep his foot from rolling over, right?
Exactly. It's a balancing act. If there's too much cushioning, too much deformation, if the material's actually deforming too much, your foot's going to start to become very wobbly.
I think we should move this forward because I'm starting to sweat a little. And starting to smell.
It's tricky to find the right mix between cushioning and stability, and that's where computer-aided design, or CAD, comes in.
Matt Dunbar is a senior CAD designer here at New Balance. Matt, how are you, sir? In that design, you were getting feedback from some runners who are testing it, or from somewhere else in R&D here. How would you change it here?
Let's say the feedback from the wear testers was that maybe these holes are too big, and I would come into the model here, and I could access these hole features and actually change the diameter of those holes to make them smaller.
So once you made a change like this, how do you realize it?
Take them over to 3D printing.
3D.
Come on, this is exciting, you guys.
All right.
There's no paper in this printer. Instead, there's powder. As the sole gets scanned onto the powder, a binding agent acts like ink and hardens the powder into the thin layers of the sole.
We are raising the build right now. And
So in there is the 3D representation of what we designed on the computer. But how is that hard and the surrounding surface all like, you know?
it's a plaster material, and it lays down a binder. So it's like putting water in kitty litter, and it just hardens in thin layers. I process it.
Once the sole hardens, the excess powder is simply dusted off.
Dip it in some hot
It's like a blizzard in there. It's like Studio 54 in 1982. Something like
And a sole is born. This prototype will be used to make thousands more.
that's pretty cool.
So our sole is ready, and our job is at least half done. It's time to bring it together with the top bit of the shoe, which is called the upper. The upper is carefully designed and engineered and almost entirely assembled by hand. At this single manufacturing plant, more than 300,000 uppers will meet their soles every year. Each one starts with
and this piece here.
They have to make thousands of these pieces every day, and this one, called the eye row, is just one of 29 individual parts that form a When the cutting is done, it's time to put the puzzle pieces together. Yeşil köşkün lambası
gonna be eventually.
Gönlümün kavgası yar, hiç bitmiyor. Şu gönlümün kavgası yar, abada.
Seriously? There is a tiny thread over the reflective there. Now that would come back to Shelley here today, and probably result in some very stern discipline. Shelley's obviously a lot faster at this than I am. And voila.
This upper still doesn't look very much like the top of a shoe. We're going to have to give it a little more shape. For that we need, you guessed it, more sewing.
On this floor at New Balance, this is